Hello there and welcome to another Hero Arts video. It's Michelle Short here and today I'm sharing how you can easily colour and layer holiday ornaments. So let's get started. This is the holiday ornament set. It's a wonderful stamp set. You've got all of these lovely ornaments there, lots of lovely sentiments and some extra kind of sparkles and things like that you can use separately as well. Then there are two stencils that you can use to colour in the images. There's the layering ornaments and trimming stencil, which is the one I'm showing you here. So you've got different layers to be able to colour in the different sections of the ornaments. You've also got a branch there and a bow that you can add separately. And then this is the layering ornament stencil. So this is the other ornaments in the set. And you've got 3 different layers for those as well, so you can mix and match to your heart's content with all of the different layers. You could add some, you could add not others. You can just do it in lots of different ways. You could do it with lots of different mediums. I'm going to do some really simple ink blending today, but you can really step it up if you wanted to. So you could stamp these outlines in so many different ways. I thought that I would actually go for a no line look today. So I'm going to stamp 3 of the ornaments with contour ink. This is a really pale grey ink that's perfect for no line colouring, and in this instance no line ink blending. So I'm going to stamp them onto some Dove White cardstock, and I am going to stamp that twice just so that I get a really nice impression, but also that I can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just stamping that again in the mini misty here so that I get a bit of a darker impression, and then I felt like it might help if I cut the pieces apart so that an ornament was on each piece of cardstock. I'm not sure it really made a huge difference, but I felt like it did at the time. I'm then going to temporarily adhere that onto a piece of printer paper just so that I can add some ink blending on top. I'm going to use the layering ornaments and trimming stencil, and I'm going to use the ornament there at the bottom. And there is 3 different layers to this stencil. So there is the solid layer, and then there are 2 layers that you can add on top. You can completely mix and match these. So if you didn't do no line ink, for example, around the outside for the stamped image, you could completely leave the first layer off at all if you wanted to, but I felt like I wanted to add a base layer. So I'm going to go in with some ink blending here. This is the ink blending brushes, and I have dusty blue mid-tone shadow ink here, and I'm going to add ink blending inside of that stencil so that it covers the entire ornament. I'm trying to focus most of the colouring on the right hand side because dye inks do dye the paper. Basically they soak into the paper. I'm not going to get a huge difference in the colour, but at the end you can still see that the right hand side was a little bit darker. I'm then going to go in with the navy mid-tone shadow ink and just add a very small amount just on the very right hand side of the ornament, just to darken that up even more. And then I can remove that stencil, and then I can line up the next one. So I decided just to add 1 layer, but again you could add 2, you could add none if you really wanted to. You can do it in so many different ways. So I decided to use that middle one. And I realised at this point that I actually had the stencil the wrong way round, so do check when you're layering them up. If you have a darker outline you'll see straight away, but because I was using the no line kind of contour ink, I didn't notice it straight away until I went to add this layer on top. So I'm just placing some tape there just to hold the stencil in place, and then for this layer I'm going to just use the navy ink. I decided to just do a very monochromatic look today and just did the lighter blue and the darker blue, and I did that for all of the ornaments. I am very much a clean and simple card maker, so I really love kind of like monochrome colours, but you could definitely go all out with these and you could have so many different colours and layers. You could add metallics, you could do so many different things with these stencils and stamp set. I think it's such a great idea that you can layer up all of the different pieces however you want. I've then got the topper piece for the ornament here. I'm just going to place that down, again add that post-it tape just to hold that in place, and I'm also masking off the other areas so that I don't go over them with the same ink. And then I'm going to use soft granite ink for the topper piece, and I'm just adding a very light layer of this. I just wanted it kind of to look a bit like silver. So I can remove that stencil, and then I'll be honest with you, I didn't line it up completely with the outline, but because the outline is so light it didn't really matter, and I think that looks really pretty nonetheless. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other layers here. So this is the round ornament. Here in the UK we actually just call them baubles, whatever shape they are, so I apologize if I happen to say baubles. I know most places around the world do call them ornaments, but we like to call them baubles here. So again, I'm adding that base layer of the dusky blue, and then just using the residual off of the brush with the navy ink just to add that to the right hand side again, and then I can go in with the next layer. And again, I'm missing out one of the layers, but I still think they look really nice just having those two layers. Again, I'm trying to focus most of the colour on the right hand side. Again, I'm not sure it made much of a difference, but I do like how they turned out. And then I can add that topper piece. Now, I'll be honest with you, I completely misaligned this and I didn't realise until I went to die cut the image out. So I'm going to show that a little bit later, but thankfully, because I used the no line technique with the contour ink, it doesn't really show up, but if you were using an outline, a darker outline, you would notice straight away as you were lining these up, so no worries at all. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing for the last ornament here. I think this is my favourite. I really love the shape of it, and I managed to line everything up perfectly, which I was really happy about. So again, I'm just missing out the middle layer, or the, you know, they're not necessarily middle and top because you can do them in any way you wanted to, but I am just doing those two layers. And then again, I can add the topper piece at the top. And so that's my 3 ornaments here. And then I'm going to use the Holiday Ornaments frame cuts, and I'm going to die cut them out. But what I found was, because I didn't have an outline, I struggled to line up the die with the image. So what I did was I cut it from a different colour of cardstock. This is sand cardstock, and I'm going to use that as a template to be able to see where I want to place the die. So you can see here that you've got that really nice white outline, but I wouldn't have seen that if I just placed the die on top. So I'm kind of placing the die back inside and it fits in like a puzzle piece. I've done that with all of the ornaments and then run those through my die cutting machine, and then when I have taken them out, they cut out perfectly. The only one that didn't was the round one, and that was purely because of my own mess up with the ink blending, but I'll get to that in a moment. So here is that one, and you can see that that topper piece was placed way too low on the image, so it's not ideal, but I'm just going to go in with some scissors and just cut that top piece off. No one will ever know. Well, you and I will know, but no one else. I'm then going to work on the sentiment, so I thought it'd be quite nice to stamp out Sending Cheer. This is from the Make Your Own Snow Globe set. It's a really cute little 3x4 set, and I'm going to stamp that onto more Dove White cardstock with Intens-ified black ink. The first time I stamped it, I think that I felt that I pushed a little bit too hard, so the second time I'm just pressing very, very lightly. It's such a tiny little sentiment, you don't need to press very hard. And then I'm going to die cut that out with the frame cuts from the Message Strips Stamp and Cut XL set. Run that through my die cutting machine, and then I'm just going to cut the 2 edges off of the side. I've then got a panel of Nautical cardstock, and this is 4¼ inches by 5½ inches, and I'm going to use it as my front panel of my card. So here I've got my ornaments and I'm just placing those down without adhering them, just so that I can work out where exactly I want them to be. And then once I think I'm fairly happy, I'm going to take some silver thread and thread that through the top of the ornaments. But I first figured out that I wanted to add some foam tape onto the back of the ornaments first. So I've just added that foam tape and now I'm going to thread that silver thread through the ornament topper. I can then remove the backings off of that foam tape and then I can stick that down onto the panel. So just making sure that that thread isn't going to stick down, and then I can place the ornament down there at the top. I'm then going to take that thread and I can secure it at the back of the panel, and that's going to make it so that it looks like the ornaments are hanging from the card. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing with both of the other ornaments. I'm just going to stagger them so that it kind of looks a little bit more organic. Before I stick this down, I want to make sure that the one that's going to be on top is going to be in the right place. And then again, I can just secure that thread at the back. I'm adding these onto a panel before I add the panel onto an actual card base. That is so that that thread is going to be stuck in between and you're not going to be able to see it on the back. But if you weren't too concerned, you could do this on a side fold card and then stick that thread behind, and then you could also then just cut another piece of cardstock to add onto the inside of the card, but I'm doing it this way. So this is a top folding A2 card base cut from the same Nautical cardstock. So I'm going to add some tape runner onto the back of the panel here, making sure that I add quite a lot so that it sticks down nicely. And then I can layer that on top of the card base. And like I said, that's going to sandwich those threads in between. So not only can you not see them on the inside of the card, they're really nice and secure as well. But I'm just going to take a bone folder just to make sure that that top piece is really well stuck down. I've then got my sentiment piece here, and I'm just going to add some foam tape onto the left hand side. The right side is going to overhang that ornament, so I don't want it any higher up. I wanted it to be the same height as the ornaments. So I'm just taking my T-square ruler here just to make sure that I place that down straight. And then to finish off, I'm adding some white enamel dots from the Neutrals Hero Hues Enamel Dots pack. And I'm just kind of randomly placing them on the card. Although it's not really random, is it? I'm trying to make it look like it's random, but it does take some time to figure out where I want them all to be. I tend to go in kind of groups of 3, and then I feel like, oh no, that's not quite right. So then I have to balance it out with another one. And so that's the card finished for today. Like I said, I kept it very clean and simple, just with the monochromatic blue colours and the white, with that added kind of bit of silver thread as well. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar on YouTube and also over on the Hero Arts blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.